Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast. We talk all things comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today, we are talking events in the Phoenix area that you can come to if you're local or even travel to from out of state, and big video game updates, including Fortnite, Overwatch, and Pokemon. I'm Blade O'Neill.
I'm Ken Brown.
It's March, I think, and a lot of fun things coming up, particularly in May. But before we delve into all of that, splitting up this episode this week. But of course, wanted to thank you all for joining us once again for another episode of Nightcap Chat. Without your support, we wouldn't be here recording it.
Yes, we're looking into the future today.
Yes, which is always good. A lot of fun little things coming on. So we teased you last week with this 5G thing, and I thought for sure Ken was talking about 5G phone technology.
Yes.
But I was wrong.
Yeah, they're talking about the 5th generation of the DC universe that will be rolled out before the end of the year, it feels like. Yes, DC has announced their free comic book day offering called DC Generation 0.
Okay, no, not 5.
Yes, exactly. Which is going to lay out 5G, which is the big rumor crypto thing that DC announced back in November at New York City Comic Con. And it's been loosely revealed a little bit at a time that there's going to be mass changes to the DC universe by the end of the year. And DC Generation 0 is going to be the free comic day kickoff where they reveal where the story is going to be going. And that cover is a super intriguing cover, what they showed online.
Yeah.
It is a cover of what looks like to be a Flash racing through dimensions, but it's got Dr. Manhattan logo in the center of his forehead. So
weird.
People reading the Flash Forward miniseries will know where this is all coming from, because at the end of the Flash Forward series, Wally West discovers that there's an origin point of the DC universe. And it looks like that with that access to the origin point, we are going to get a readjusting or a fixing of the DC universe to celebrate everything that's happened. A little bit of a hint at the end of Doomsday Clock 2, number 12 of Doomsday Clock that came out earlier this year.
Yeah.
Reopened up the fact of that there is knowledge of every timeline that DC's ever created. And now it's a mass DC universe again. And so I don't know exactly where this is all going, but it seems like time needs to be corrected is what DC is in the process of doing now. Just read online in an article that Batman's going to be aged for the first time in a long time. And if that's the case, they're probably going to go within the theory that the Golden Age Batman is now the current Batman of the DC universe. And so as if he aged in regular time. And not like time as in like 80 years time, but he's probably going to hit the Dark Knight Returns Frank Miller time frame, there's all kinds of rumors flying out there. Ones that are where Lucius Fox's son's going to become the new Batman, that Jonathan Kent's going to be the Superman. They just brought back Bart Allen recently inside of Young Justice, and he was the Kid Flash that was pre-52.
Yeah.
There's the image on the cover where it shows that inside of the multiverse of worlds that are flying at you, or that the Wally West / Dr. Manhattan enlightened Flash possibly looks like what's happening here, is seeing everything the DC universe has ever touched on. Like in one corner of the cover underneath his arm, it's got the Superman through the eras. It's got a Golden Age Superman, a Silver Age Superman, what we call the Copper Age Superman, Bronze Age Superman with Man of Steel, John Byrne's storyline. And then it's got the New 52 Superman where he's wearing the t-shirt that he wore during Grant Morrison's Superman in Action Comics New 52 reboot. And then the final image is the current Superman that we all know today, obviously in DC Rebirth. And then underneath Flash, they have the New 52 Justice League being led by Wonder Woman in her new look with the silver tiara that happened during New 52.
Yeah.
And Cyborg is a member of that team. And then above that, underneath his left arm, you have Batman with his yellow and black Batman logo and a Robin swinging behind him or jumping behind him. that's got the Jason Todd curls on it, which is obviously from Death in the Family major storyline. And above his left arm, you have the Teen Titans, which have Cyborg as a member of the team.
Yep.
And that's the Marv Wolfman, George Perez story arc of the new Teen Titans. And so it's it looks like that. I said too, it's being referred to as 5G for fifth generation, but it looks like it's going to explore every generation that DC's thrown at us since 1938 when Superman first appeared.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what, because I mean,
Mega Crisis.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder if it's going to be like that and then go back into another reboot or what, you know, is going to become of this, because I mean, with Batman being old, you know, in the movies, he's about to be young again.
Yes, what are they going to do with that?
So, I mean, you're going to, you know, a lot of the times, you know, we discussed this, you know, many times before, you know, the movies are what influences the comics, you know, a lot, you know, today. So, I mean, maybe this will turn into some kind of crisis that leads into a reboot. Maybe this goes into, you know, if excuse me, maybe if Bruce Wayne is old, you know, maybe they do the Batman Beyond Batman, and then he gets maybe sent to the new DC. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's 1985. And the one thing I do know was the original Crisis was 1985, Crisis on Infinite Earth. And the one thing we know about the comic industry is we love our numbers. And it's 35 years since the original DC Crisis this year. And so I think that's another, more or less, another generation of, because it goes back to the generation relaunches more or less purely started during a crisis that was the Crisis of Earth 1 back in the 1970s. And so that eventually led into, oh, well, if we have one, like 2 or 3 multiple dimensions, why not an infinite amount of crisis? Like a number of dimensions that integrated Shazam finally to the DC universe for the first time after the first Crisis. And then they integrated the Charlton characters into the DC universe after the first Crisis, which was like Blue Beetle and The Question and what was Phantom Lady and some other characters that DC made a lot of acquisitions of characters over the years, starting from 1938 up until that 1980s acquisition of all the Charlton characters. And it says, what do we do with all these characters? They don't make sense. They've never been part of our universe. The Crisis was that opportunity to unite all their characters.
Yeah.
And one characters that they invented back in that era was the Watchmen. And the Watchmen was never part of the mainstream DC universe until Doomsday Clock. And now there is now finally that opportunity to bring the Watchmen into the DC universe. And that may be what this fifth generation is doing completely. It's like they opened the door to it. Now we're going to finish doing it too as well. So anytime there's new characters DC acquires or invents, how can we forward the universe to make all these characters important?
And is the Free Comic Book Day thing the jumping off point? Is this the first time we're going to encounter this event?
It's going to be the jumping on point.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Soon.
And Free Comic Book Day is the first weekend in May.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And this year, let's see what date that is. I'll sit off the top of my head. I'm not sure what the first day of May is, or first Saturday of May.
And there's also, I mean, I'm already eyeing some of the X-Men comics because there's a cool cover with Magic on it, and I'm gonna keep bringing up Magic because she's like my newfound favorite characters here.
May 2nd.
May 2nd. So May 2nd.
First Saturday of May this year.
So if any of you guys in the Phoenix metro area, lots of fun things going on at Drawn to Comics.
Yeah, speaking of numbers, it'll be our 15th anniversary
as
a comic store. Yeah,
wow.
2005.
Awesome. Oh my goodness.
Yes, which is crazy because 2006 was the Infinite Crisis. So it's already been 14 years since that's launched. 2005, 2006.
Wow. That's so crazy to think about. So another big Phoenix event.
Yes.
Is Phoenix Fan Fusion, formerly Phoenix Comic Con and Phoenix Fan Fest, I believe. But now it's Phoenix Fan Fusion, where we're deep into the guest announcements, which is probably one of the biggest draws. From the earliest point, one of my favorite announcements yet. If any of you guys are into Overwatch, the voice of Diva Charlotte Chung, excuse me, will be joining Phoenix Comic Con for the first time this year. She's also been in Fast and Furious, Spy Racers, and Carmen Sandiego.
Nice.
But probably best known for playing Diva. Diva, of course, being one of the flagship Overwatch characters. I know, I'm more of an Overwatch fan than you are. We're sitting right next to an Overwatch League flag for the New York Excelsior as we're recording this. I'm very excited. I think I'm gonna have her sign one of my pops because I got to meet Lucy Pohl last year as the voice of Mercy. So I think I'm gonna do an Overwatch pops. Have them all autographed, with each other.
That'd be awesome. That's one of the most fun parts about Pops is when you meet the real life actors that portrayed those characters.
Yeah, I did that with the Power Rangers too. And
seeing their face too, like when they get excited to see you have their pop of their character. And it's really kind of a magic moment when you get to meet the people that are creating or not bringing to life the characters you so love in pop culture.
Absolutely. And this was the next day after they announced her, like I feel like everything was geared towards me because they announced Fabian Nicieza right after that. And for those of you who don't know, I mean,
who's Fabian Nicieza?
Yes, he's pretty much the guy who Rob Liefeld created Deadpool, but he really gave Deadpool like his personality. He's the first writer who like hopped in there and pretty much laid the groundwork for the Deadpool we know today.
Him and Scott Lobdell really picked up the ball when Chris Claremont retired the first time from doing X-Men. And a lot of the X-Men that we know is a lot contributed to Chris Claremont, but Fabian Nicieza and Scott Lobdell and even Jeff Loeb and Mark Waid were the think tanks of the 90s of bringing us the Onslaught saga, of bringing us Deadpool, of bringing us Cable, bringing us X-Force. Fabian Nicieza was one of those major think tank writers during that time to bring X-Men into the next generation.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for that. I've already got to meet Rob Liefeld, so I'm glad to see something a little different and have the opportunity to meet an awesome comic creator that I haven't had the opportunity yet.
Yes. Plus another thing too, he helped, if I remember correctly, he helped work with the creation of the New Warriors.
Really?
As well. And the New Warriors are going to be making a huge comeback this year too, as well.
Yeah, I could see that.
I got to double check my sources on that, but I'm pretty sure Fabian Nicieza was one of the creators of the New Warriors too, as well.
There's Phoenix does credit him with Thunderbolts here.
Thunderbolts. Maybe I'm thinking of Thunderbolts, but that was New Warriors too. So it might be Thunderbolts.
So, we've talked about guilty pleasures before, and I think Sailor Moon is a really big guilty pleasure of mine. I love Sailor Moon.
Yeah, Fabian Nicieza did. New Warriors too.
Awesome.
So Thunderbolts, New Warriors.
So there's a lot of great options of comics to have signed.
Yes.
Between Deadpool, Thunderbolts, and I think he worked on some Cable stuff. A lot of great options for sure. You don't watch Sailor Moon, do you?
Sailor Moon. I'm familiar with it. I have not. I cannot say I'm a religious fan of Sailor Moon.
I love Sailor Moon. It was cool. It was on. When I got home from school when I was younger.
Yes.
In the 90s. So we have been graced with 3 of the Sailor Scouts here. So Sailor Moon herself, Linda Valentine, but we're also get Sailor Mars, who's the favorite of a really good friend of mine. He is so excited to meet Kitty Griffin. He's got shirts, he's got merchandise. Like when I showed him the screenshot, like he was literally freaking out when they saw that they announced her. And then my wife's favorite Sailor Scout, Sailor Jupiter, played by Susan Roman, will also be there. Yeah. Susan Roman was also in Strawberry Shortcake.
Oh, no way. So my wife's favorite sushi loves Strawberry Shortcake, so I'll have to get her to see it.
Yeah. And she was also in Care Bears. So, the Sailor Scouts are really cool. I think I'm going to have them sign pops too, I think. Just because, that's it's just such a good item. There's, you make your autographs, collection match, that's why I like going for the pops. Now, right after that, arguably one of the biggest comic book creators today, especially coming off of the success of Endgame.
Oh, yes. Jim Starlin's coming back.
Yes. So, for those of you who don't know, creator of Thanos is really the big one there. And especially with how popular Thanos has been because of Infinity War and Endgame.
Yes.
I mean, what an incredible opportunity.
Bring your Adam Warlock stuff too as well.
Yes.
Because he had a major influence of developing Adam Warlock. The same way Joe Kelly did with Deadpool. I give Jim Starlin the credit of building up Adam Warlock, because it was Fantastic Four, obviously, and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby who introduced him, and then obviously over in Thor, they started calling him Warlock, but Jim Starlin totally developed Adam Warlock into what we know as the Infinity Watch, aspect of Jim Warlock, and everything that kind of led to what the Avengers movies were leading to comes out of that as well.
And he's also credited with co-creating Drax the Destroyer.
Nice.
And Shang-Chi, who's also getting a movie. So, I mean, he could be having, all of his movies based on, characters he helped create, I mean, great opportunity. I love Thanos. So I know he's been here before, but I missed the opportunity. I don't know what I was doing.
And so too, there's so many things going on at Comic-Con. You kind of hope that some of your favorites come back.
Yeah.
For next year's, because some of the lines to meet the people that you want to meet, that takes up time.
Yep.
And when they bring the major people back again, that means there was demand for them.
Yeah.
And so that's cool to see that Starlin didn't meet the demand that this market wanted, which was awesome, which means they'll bring him back.
Yeah. It was a really cool opportunity for sure. I'll definitely be on that line. Another cool announcement was Doug Jones.
Yes.
Who, to me, best known for playing Abe Sapien in the Ron Perlman Hellboy movies, although he did not voice Abe Sapien. As far as Marvel movies, he was the only live-action Silver Surfer that we've had, although that was voiced by, oh my goodness, Lawrence Fishburne.
Yes.
So, I mean, he does do a lot of motion capture type stuff. Of course, he was, I believe, several characters in Pan's Labyrinth.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. So you see the goat character, and I'm pretty sure he was the character with the eyes in his hands too, if I'm not mistaken.
Dang, dude.
Wow, what an incredibly talented guy. But Phoenix Comic-Con, Phoenix Fan Fusion, excuse me. I've been going to Phoenix Comic-Con for I don't even know how many years, since it was Cactus Con.
Yes.
I think in Mesa, and it's been incredible to watch it grow and become this huge event in Phoenix. That's why I can't help but call it Phoenix Comic-Con, because of that. I've been going for so long.
I remember going to the first one that is what it is today. It was back in 2002. It was in a hotel in Ahwatukee.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm kind of going, oh my gosh, dude, from it being in a hotel ballroom to what it is now is just awestrucking to watch that era. Kind of, I can relate to some of the people that remember the early days of San Diego Comic-Con, starting at the basement of a hotel into what it is today. And
Absolutely.
That's kind of what's happened with Phoenix Fan Fusion over the years, just growing and growing and growing. And who knows where it's going to go. I mean, it's as long as they keep on keeping the fan in mind, it's going to continue to grow.
Absolutely.
Some of the things I'm kind of excited to see is Clark Gregg.
Yes. I mean, the glue of the Avengers, right?
Yes. I mean, Agent Coulson, that's going to be fun, because I think he's one of the more underrated Avengers.
Totally.
To how
he's been in since Iron Man 1.
Yes.
And he was the first person to drop, the first time I saw Iron Man, when he kept saying the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement Logistics Division, I was like, wow, that's a lot. I wasn't even thinking in terms of this can be something like S.H.I.E.L.D. At the end, it was just call us S.H.I.E.L.D. I was like, whoa, that was the first time that I got something like that. That was the first time Marvel was like, oh, this is getting bigger. Yes. And of course there was an after the credit scene with Samuel Jackson, but Clark Gregg was the first person to drop a little bomb like that, just call us S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes. And he was the forefather of what's kind of led into Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Because he's the first one to spin out of the movies into a weekly TV series and make it work for at least 5 seasons.
Absolutely.
And that's something like that where we can more or less thank Clark for having enough humility. He says, I don't need to be in the movies. I'll try to get this going on TV. You know, I'll be the one that takes more or less one for the team to show that I don't need all the Hollywood cinematic dollars, movie dollars. I'll do the TV show. And I'm sure he's getting paid kindly for the TV show too, but that sometimes people think is like that. No, I'm too good for TV.
Yeah.
Clark Gregg was one of those guys that laid that groundwork for saying like that this is a cinematic universe that doesn't just have to be in the theaters.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they killed him off in the movies, so then in comic book fashion, they found an excuse to bring him back, right?
Yes.
Another Marvel cinematic universe character that they announced was Christopher Eccleston.
Yes.
Who is best known for, I'm not a big Doctor Who guy, but he is best known for playing for being the Ninth Doctor, right?
Yes.
In Doctor Who, but he was Malekith in Thor: The Dark World.
Man, this guy's got so much diversity in pop culture. I remember the thing where I got hooked on him was seeing the G.I. Joe movie. Where he played Destro. And I'm saying, that's like Doctor Who. And I'm going, Doctor Who, that's cool. I didn't even know that. And then I started realizing, like, I kind of retro find some movies sometimes. Like, I didn't see 28 Days in the theater.
Okay.
But when I saw 28 Days at home for the first time, the guy that ran the compound was Christopher Eccleston. And I'm going, that's cool too. So he's in 28 Days Later. He's been Destro. He's Doctor Who. Now he's been in Thor. This guy is an amazing range of pop culture. So it'd be fun to talk to him and see. So is this stuff you grew up loving too as well? Or how do you keep on getting wrapped up into these roles of characters we can all relate to?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not a bad typecasting, right?
Yes.
I mean, to be a part of all these incredible franchises. I mean, whether you're a fan of them or not, I mean, they're iconic.
And each character is a little bit different. That's another thing too. It shows his range across all different movies he's been in too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Phoenix Fan Fusion has got some guests coming up, and I think they're not even done. I
can't wait to see more comic book creator guests, because those are some of my favorite things too, is that when you come to the comic convention, you still want to see the heart of the industry there. And like that, I just saw on here now too, J.M. Demetis wrote one of my favorite stories in comic book Spider-Man history.
Yeah.
He wrote Kraven's Last Hunt.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
And I hope Mike Zeck comes again too, because that will be a great connection to have Mike Zeck and J.M. Demetis there at the same time, because I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, that would be really neat.
And that would be, if you're Phoenix Fan Fusion, you need to be calling in Mike Zeck right now and say, hey, dude, we got J.M. Demetis here. And that would be an amazing moment for fans to see the both of you guys together.
So at the time of recording this, the latest announcement was Christopher Daniel Barnes, who plays Prince Eric on The Little Mermaid, but was actually probably a really important part of my childhood, because he is known for playing Spider-Man in the 1994 animated series.
Nice. That's cool.
I mean, like,
wow.
that's one of the series that really got me into the Spider-Man and comic books in general.
Yes.
The 94 Spider-Man, X-Men, the animated series, Batman, the animated series. I'm like, those were really the three tentpole shows, I think, of the 90s that really hooked me in.
Yes, like when you hear that voice, you think Spider-Man.
Totally.
I'm going, oh my gosh, it's kind of like when who's the voice of the original Batman, the animated series Batman that everybody loves?
It's
so much?
Kevin Conroy.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he is Batman.
Yes, that's how it is kind of like with Spider-Man cartoon animated series. They've had so many Spider-Man cartoon animated series. Unfortunately, they rotated out voice actors for each one of those series, but that one is the one I remember the most too. Is the one from Spider-Man, the animated series from the 90s.
Totally.
I mean, Spider-Man's Amazing Friend Spider-Man was like my Spider-Man, but that one from the 90s Spider-Man is the one I think of the most.
Well, he went on to voice Spider-Man Noir in the 2010 video game, Shattered Dimensions.
Very cool.
He also voiced Spider-Man 2099 in the 2011 video game Spider-Man Edge of Time.
Nice.
But he also played Electro in the 2012 cartoon series Ultimate Spider-Man.
That's
so
cool.
like he runs around and he does stuff. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Jim Starlin earlier.
Yeah.
Correct. right? Ron Lim is going to be there too. So that whole J.M. Demetis, Mike Zeck combination I was talking about earlier, you can do the same thing with Ron Lim and Jim Starlin because they work together on Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh my goodness.
Signature hunters, don't miss out on that when you're at the show.
Yeah, I've got those comics. I'm probably gonna have to do that now for sure.
And Ron Lim's been one of the most prolific artists over the past 20, 30 years that's been in the industry.
My goodness.
So that'll be fun. And I don't know, are you familiar with the DC Bombshell covers?
Yes.
Aunt Lucia, the original artist that did the Bombshell covers.
Oh my goodness. Those are awesome.
Too. Yes.
I don't even collect a lot of DC comics, but like it's hard to not buy some of those, and some of the merchandise that they've come out with for them has just been incredible.
Unbelievable. I know what you mean. Like that's one of the best branded things DC's come up with.
Totally.
Since the original incarnations of the characters. So something different that stuck with society and culture is the Bombshell character redesigns.
Yeah. The Funko had a series of they not only did them as Funko Pops, but they did them as rock candies. And I don't even collect the rock candies, but I have some of those. Just because the Bombshell concept it's just cool art, and they make cool figures as well.
It's genius. I was really impressed when I first saw them, and they continue to still hold up over time. And it being around for about 8 years now already.
Absolutely. There'll be plenty more of Phoenix Fan Fusion to cover as we get closer. But I mean, it's already gearing up for something exciting. But before we break, Ken, thank you for joining us and
always,
doing this part of the episode here. Before we cut to the commercial break, we can find out a little more about Drawn to Comics.
Yeah, Drawn to Comics. As always, we're located in downtown Glendale, Arizona, 5801 West Glendale Avenue. We are right in the heart of downtown, across from the Velmatique Library. And it is always an enjoyable time every time we see you guys come in and talk comics, toys, and games with us. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and drawn2comics.com for any questions to contact us.
And we will be right back after this commercial break. And we're back. And joining me now in the Nightcap Chat studio here, I've got Lance O'Neill.
Yep.
Ken is gone, doing the rest of the episode with just Lance, and we're gonna talk a little bit about video games today. This is coincidence, but I just want to briefly touch on, because news just broke about an hour ago from recording this, that Bob Iger is stepping down as CEO of Disney.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, kind of sucks.
Disney stocks have plummeted 2.5% following the news.
They'll probably go down a little more, but he's supposed to actually have a meeting. Actually, it probably just happened a couple of minutes ago. He should have a meeting have a public discussion about what's to come. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
hopefully it's nothing terrible. He's still going to be part of it for the next year or so, which is good. He's just trying to train, I guess, the next person in line to take his spot.
And as he was quoted in one of the articles we were reading, Disney isn't a good place right now. I mean, we've got Disney Plus, we've got Marvel TV is folded into Marvel Studios, and we're going to be getting a more cohesive universe than ever, which is something like even DC and Warner Brothers, even having all of their characters under one roof, have arguably not even successfully have, completed this, or accomplished this, I guess I should say. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm sure we'll talk about it more on a future episode. It was just such breaking news right before we were recording the rest of today's episode. I felt the need to at least mention it.
Yeah, and I have Disney stock, so it sucks for me.
Yeah, no, 2.5%. Sell.
Not a chance. This is a long term.
So, video game updates. Overwatch has rolled out the experimental card. Papa Jeff has said it may or may not happen today, but it looks like it is.
No, it happened already today.
Some crazy things so this is experimental. So as he reiterated several times in yesterday's developer update, there's nothing to freak out about. This is highly experimental. They just want to see how it works and what the reaction is.
From what I understand, it's basically like more of a advanced PTR.
Exactly, right? and it's inclusive to the consoles.
Yeah, which is better and makes me want to now play. Given I probably still won't, but it does make it does make it a little better. And I think that's better for the community as a whole, because every time when I was playing on console, every time there was like a PTR thing, I always felt like left out. Like it was like, oh, well, I guess I'll just sit here and play this boring same thing all the time. You know what I mean?
And what's your player base on console versus PC? I mean, between Xbox and PlayStation and now even Switch, I'm interested to know like what the statistics are. Is that versus
that could have been
PC?
a big factor in why they want to do this to console, because I think that, I mean, I'm sure their player base is still, obviously it's still going well. They have, it's still a popular game, but I'm sure it's gone down a little bit, that they probably felt like, hey, you know, it'd probably be better for us to get more stats. And if more people play, then we know how well something's going to go if we do it on multiple consoles instead of just having it on PC. So I think it's a good step. As far as what they launched in this PTR, though, it's kind of, this one's probably not going to end up being put out. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's in this particular one, if you're familiar with it, the current role queue is 2-2-2, 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS. So this experimental card is going to try out 1 tank, 3 DPS, and 2 healer, which I personally think is a bad idea. But that's why we're experimenting, right? They were talking about addressing the queue times of the DPS people, but like I still play Overwatch, and I was just playing this week and the week before, and the DPS queue times really weren't that bad. So I don't know. I think it's just, you know, a bunch of people being noisy about these queue times that, you know, I feel like are insignificant, especially now that when you're waiting to queue up for a game, you can pop into the practice field, you can go into skirmish, like you can do things. You don't have to sit there and fiddle with your thumbsticks, you know?
Right. And some of the, I guess they did buffs to a few characters. Roadhog, they buffed him. And Zarya, they buffed her. Mm-hmm. And one of the Roadhog one is he heals anyone near him now when he does his heal.
Weird.
Yeah, and apparently, I was watching some video. He's healing himself, but if you have like a Ana and a Mercy, you basically like he just can't die. Like you can't try to focus him. You'd have to go for everybody else before you could even bother try taking him out. And I guess Zarya, her bubble shield, she doesn't just shield herself now. She shields everyone within a little radius around her with bubbles too. But they lower the time it is like by a second, but she's getting to 100% like instantly now, because it's just basically if you're shooting at anyone on her team, she just bubbles. And if she's near them, they all get bubbles. So it's just instant, like now she's at 100%.
I think
80%, whatever.
I think part of this was, you know, if they do shift the, if they kind of force this new meta of 1 tank, they'll need more DPS, and I think they'll actually make Roadhog and Zarya DPS characters instead of tanks. I really hope this doesn't stick. And it's been fun trying out healers and tanks. I've over the last few weeks, I've actually found a new appreciation for Lucio and Moira. I never really cared for playing Lucio, but there's something about like the current balance of everything. Like I was, frankly, like I've been killing it, you know.
I always enjoyed playing Lucio. I always got a lot of kills with him. The only thing I don't like with Lucio is it's hard to wall ride when you're on console, because holding X is kind of difficult. If you want to be like, I'm not just talking about just regular wall ride. I'm just talking about like when people like go around an entire map and they don't touch the floor the entire time. Like it's really difficult unless you can change your key binds off of X, because if you're holding X, you can't move the other joystick because you have to hold X to hold onto the wall.
I see what you're saying.
Actually, I probably could do it now because I have a scuff controller, so I could probably my X is bound to my bottom left paddle, so I could probably just easily do it now.
You should do it.
But I don't know. I always enjoyed Lucio. Lucio was one of my favorite healers to play. Him and Ana was kind of fun, depending on obviously the team you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like lately the balance I mean, just for my personal playstyle hasn't been the best. I've been mostly, when I'm healing, I'm mostly Lucio and Moira, little bit of Mercy. Mercy was always my favorite healer.
I don't mind Moira. I just feel like she's not as fun because a lot of her stuff isn't like precision. Like you kind of throw your orb and it does damage, and yeah, it's cool. And her spray things kind of, you know, damage, but it's all like stuff that you don't really have to aim for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like it's easy to get damage done. So it's not as fun as like where Lucio, like when you get a couple of headshots with his little sonic gun or whatever it is, it feels good. You're like, oh yeah, I nailed that guy.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but I still have fun like popping in the orb into, and they spread out, and then I spray somebody and they're like, oh no, and I can fall back and I heal people.
Her fun thing is going invisible and popping up into a room like, hey, and then shooting an orb and getting out of there real quick. But yeah.
Because there's something satisfying about like when that orb is doing damage or your spray is doing damage, the little vibrations like it's like, yes, I got you.
I did something good.
But it is fun. Fortnite, I've deleted Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite, but I am a big Deadpool fan, and I'm very tempted to
shock
to install Fortnite here.
You should have seen my face.
Explain what this is.
So, they haven't yet, I guess, explained.
This is season 2.
This is season 2 of chapter 2.
Whatever.
Right? So, because there was already a season 2, but that was apparently chapter 1. Or this is the 12th season, I guess you could say. However you want to look at it. So it wasn't as big as like last season, because I guess last season it turned to chapter 2, season 1. They deleted the game and everyone was like, what is going on? So this one was a lot less, a little anticlimactic this time. But they added, obviously a bunch of new characters, a bunch of new skins, just like as usual. And then all of a sudden at the end of the trailer that they show, because when you hop into the game, they kind of show you a trailer of what you're expecting for the next season before you even hop into the game.
Yeah.
And then all at the end, there's just Deadpool sitting there. And you're just like, I was like, what the, like, how? No way they did this. And their little Marvel logo and everything. It's just like, I don't know. I guess they worked out another deal with Disney. It's crazy.
It's weird. And it's not even like the theme of the season, because it's like, spies or whatever. But it looks like the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool costume.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Whether you like Fortnite or not, I don't, like I said, I don't even play it. There's something else going on, because it's Disney who allowed this. So, and I remember you texted me, you're like, this doesn't coincide with the movie. There's no Deadpool 3 coming out that anyone's promoting. But what's interesting is New Mutants comes out in April. And that is part of the Fox X-Men movies. Now, nobody knows what Disney is even doing with the mutants and the X-Men or anything. So it's going to be really interesting to see that they allowed this Deadpool to be used in promotional material, unless we're just completely overthinking it. And they almost had a deal with Fox maybe before, and they just had this model and they're like, hey, can we use this? And like, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But I know we could be just looking too much into it, but at the same time, I feel like both Fortnite and Disney, they don't do those kind of things for no reason.
And they're not going to do Ryan Reynolds Deadpool 2. It's not even like they could have just made a comic book,
right?
Deadpool.
They don't like. I don't know how to explain it. They don't need. Neither side really needs to do this for no reason. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There should be a reason for both sides profiting off of this. I mean, obviously everyone likes that. Like so many little kids love Deadpool or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but there has to be more to this. So I feel like I wouldn't be shocked if somehow they tried putting Deadpool in with the New Mutants or something, or after the credit scene, maybe. I don't know. This is obviously all speculation. But it's just a little weird, especially since the only Marvel thing coming out besides New Mutants is also Black Widow. And obviously, I mean, there's no way I don't think that has anything to do with it. What's weird is that.
What if it does?
I guess it could. It could, because it's a prequel too. so they could somehow put it in there.
What is?
But if you this season is obviously, like you said, it's more like a James Bond thing. It's all spy themed.
Yeah,
Black Widow is a spy theme.
Interesting.
But we only have one Marvel skin in the game, and it's already we already have a Black Widow skin with red and yellow hair. So maybe they just do another skin, or maybe like you said, maybe Deadpool will have something to do with the Black Widow movie, or be in part of it at least.
Who's the bad guy in?
Taskmaster. Yeah,
there's plenty of history with Deadpool too.
That's true.
That's
it could even just be like
a cameo
of them fighting, and then Black Widow comes by or something.
Really, what it comes down to is if it makes you wonder: are they keeping Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool? I mean, I know they've pretty much said they want to. Yeah. Here's what annoys me. I'm gonna get on a soapbox here for a second. I think this is something I've complained about before. The Deadpool movie is rated R. It's a rated R property, and we're pushing it in this game now. It's popular amongst 10-year-olds, but like they're not allowed to go see the movie. You know what I mean? Like, they have a Build-A-Bear of Deadpool, but you're still making the movie R. It's like, I feel like they're just trying to have their cake and eat it too. I still am very adamant that I don't think Deadpool needs to be a rated R property. I think it could be a really strong PG-13 and still be true to the essence of the character. Like it does not need to be rated R.
Yeah, and when I went to go see Deadpool, there was a lot of kids there.
There was a lot of kids there. And there was a kid in a diaper there. I remember. And when I saw Logan, I sat next to a family, and there was a really young kid. He must have been 4, I had to guess. And, it was very violent. And in one of the scenes, Wolverine's claws go through someone's head, and the little kid's like, ha ha ha. Like,
yeah,
not funny.
It was not funny.
That's
it was
not funny.
Like when I saw it, I was like, oh, and the little kid's laughing. I'm like, no, that's not how that works.
Anyway, I don't mean to preach at anybody, but my goodness, I just don't understand why Disney is pushing all of these things and, like Build-A-Bear and Fortnite when this is a rated R property. Do you see DC pushing the Joaquin Phoenix Joker in Fortnite? Like that's demented. I just don't understand what the difference is. Anyway, that's my little rant about that.
Fair enough. Back to Fortnite though. It's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. They added a whole completely different element, and I'm not going to lie. If we talked about this 3 hours after I started playing the new season, I would have told you it's the end of Fortnite, and this is the worst season of all time, and this is their downfall.
What?
Because I just had a very bad experience with it. So I got on, literally, I was on there at like 3:30 a.m. I hopped on. It was supposed to go live at 4 o'clock. I ended up going live at like 3:45. But I guess when you're going to be online for an update this big, you're just run into nothing but like professional or high grade streamers the entire time you play. Because literally my entire time, my first 3 hours playing this season was me landing and just getting obliterated by everybody. It was just ridiculous. Like it just I was not having a good time. I was like, I don't know, maybe it's because it's 3:30 in the morning and I'm exhausted, but everyone I played, I felt like was just 10 times better than me. And I'm not bad at Fortnite. I'm not some bot. Like I'm way, way above average in Fortnite. Like I have a pretty good ranking in Fortnite, but I was just getting obliterated all night. Anyway, after having a couple days of playing and, thinking about it, it's actually a pretty solid update. They changed a couple of things. It's really kind of added a whole new element. There's 5 new POIs, point of interest, right? Where you can land. And all these 5 new landing spots all have NPCs. And all the NPCs will shoot at you. They're like, I don't know, like they're henchmen is what they are. And when you land, they'll drop whatever gun that they have. But each area has one like boss, I guess you could say, who has a lot more health and strength, but they also have a special gun that their gun is like the only gun you can find in the game. So one has like a crossbow, one has a assault rifle, one has a minigun, etc. Right? But those guns are like the strongest of those guns, like the strongest assault rifle in the game, right? You can only get that one there, and there's only one. So there is some like reason you'd want to land there. Plus, they all have a key card, and each place has a vault. And if you kill them and you get the key card, you open up the vault, and then there's like 6-7 boxes, and you open them up, and they all have good loot. So they kind of changed it. And the only thing that's weird though is they're all on the edges of the map. So one's on a yacht in like top right corner, one's in like a little island, another one's on a oil rig. So if you do land there, you're also landing at the edge of the map. So if the bubble might be completely opposite the map or in the middle. Even if it's in the middle, you're going to have to run after the first bubble. But besides that, they've changed nothing else in the game, which is kind of weird. They did add a couple they got rid of traps, which is great for the game. If anyone that plays, traps were ridiculously overpowered. And they added some explosives to the game, which C4 and stuff, which is kind of like the spy theme. Like you put C4 down, blow something up. But all in all, it's been a solid update. I think that the only way, though, that this stays as a good update is if they have to do what they used to do, is put out a new update every week, because it's going to get boring. And there's already rumors, though, from like there's so many people that leak stuff saying they're already working on update 12.1 and 12.2. So if they're already working on it, it has to be probably coming out the next week or two. So it just needs to stay fresh, because last season was literally, it was like 3 seasons worth of one season, and they never updated anything. It was just boring by the end of it.
Yeah, that sounds boring. Well, the other video game I wanted to touch on before we're out of time here was Pokemon Sword and Shield. Massive update with the release of Pokemon Home. The Pokemon Home app, is available on iOS, Android, and the Nintendo Switch. It allows you to trade between the 3DS and the Switch games. You can only port over certain Pokemon, though, to Sword and Shield. It's mostly like all of the legendaries and mythical Pokemon.
Well, that's good.
Like all of them. And then this also introduces Squirtle and Bulbasaur.
Oh, good for you guys.
Because Charmander's been in the game.
Yep.
However, if you install Pokemon Home on your phone, you get your choice between Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, and they all come with their hidden ability, which is cool. I'm picking. So I'll be but then you can breed more with their hidden ability and then trade them from there. And then when you install it on your Switch, you get a Pikachu. I'm not sure what's special about the Pikachu, but you get a Pikachu. Or whatever.
Is it Ash's Pikachu?
I don't think so. I mean, I'll have to see it. I'm not sure what the other trainer is, but that's mostly. I think there's a handful of other Pokemon that might be available too. Now, also in Pokemon Home, it comes with a Pokédex. Okay. So now, I mean, everyone knows if you play Pokemon, the full national dex still isn't in there. And it probably still won't be even after the DLC. Both of the DLCs come out. But you can keep track within the Pokemon Home app. So it registers that all your Pokemon between all the games.
Oh, that's cool.
So, I mean, like you can complete the Pokédex within Pokemon Home using Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, and so on. There's an event going on right now. If you complete the Pokédex, all 800 and whatever Pokemon, they're giving away the mythical Pokemon. I've never heard it pronounced out loud, but I call it Majarna. Just a little robotic looking Pokeball thing, but it comes in the special color, the color scheme that this Pokemon was in the movie when it was ancient Majarna. It was like thousands of years ago. It looked like different colors,
Oh, cool.
It is pretty cool.
So do you have it then? Because don't you have them all?
I do have them all. I have downloaded Pokemon Home, and I have not even opened it yet.
Got you. Wait, so do you have to like download each individual Pokemon to it, or is it like everything on this game goes on there? Like, do I have to take all my time and get 800 Pokemon and pull them into there?
I'm honestly not sure if you have to pull them in or if you have to connect it and it registers everything for you. But you do have to do it at least blocks. You move it blocks at a time, up and down, up and down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean it'll be a chore for sure.
Tedious.
We'll see. I'll report back more on that once I've honestly been distracted with Overwatch, Jedi Fallen Order. Is there anything else? Besides life.
So how does Pokemon like explain why like certain areas like this is a new area, right? So how are they going to explain like, because we have this Pokédex, right? And now it's like, so for whatever reason, missing 200 Pokemon. How do you explain why they don't know that these 200 animals exist?
So it's the Galarian Pokédex. Okay. So it's not the national dex.
I mean,
so it's Pokemon native to the region.
Oh, so the ones that they're adding are still native to the region.
What do you mean?
They just added like 200 more, right?
Well,
so all those are also native to the region then? Because then shouldn't that be a different Pokédex? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess we'll see how it's handled going forward because there's still only 400 that I'm aware of in the Pokédex, the Galarian Dex. I don't know if they're going to change the Pokédex within Sword and Shield itself. Okay. I don't know if the legendaries register on there. You know, I didn't realize until I almost cut them all that Mew wasn't on there, and I had Mew. I thought Mew was part of the 400.
Oh, so when you I guess you looked at the Pokédex and nothing's there. That's kind of weird. I feel like it should register somewhere.
It's not even there.
Huh.
But I have Mew because I have the Pokeball.
I know. We both got it on Christmas.
Yeah. And so the whole time I was counting, you know, I was
You're always down one?
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I feel like it doesn't make sense now all of a sudden.
No,
it made sense this whole time. Okay, I'm gonna spend too long.
You thought you were missing. You thought you should have had them all, but you were missing one, right?
So I don't even know now. Oh, I think I know what it was. I think I thought that it was going to be 401 because of Mew, and so I was working toward 401. So I always added one more. So as I got to the last handful of Pokemon, I realized like, oh no, I do need 5, not 6. Or whatever.
I got what you're saying. I get where you're going with this, yes.
But it's an exciting update. It'll also integrate Pokemon Go. But going from Pokemon Go to Pokemon Home is only one way, which is disappointing. And the only reason I can think of for that is so that way it doesn't destroy the economy of rare Pokemon within Pokemon Go.
Probably, yeah.
Because otherwise, like, everyone will have a Mr. Mime and Corsola and all the regional exclusives, and like that'll be it. There'll be zero incentive to look for Pokemon within Pokemon Go if you can just trade them from Sword and Shield.
Yeah, I mean,
and Sun and Moon.
I mean, they lost me at the raid battles, so
I like them.
I don't.
Have you tried the max raid battles in Sword and Shield? Just a little bit, right? You're
a little bit, yeah. I like that. I don't have to do it with people. I can just do it with like NPCs.
The 5 stars, you really should do it with one or two people.
I know, but it's just I just wish that they would do that in Pokemon Go because I just don't want to. I'm sorry, I just don't want to be around people.
I get it, but during the big events, there's people there anyway. You don't even have to talk to anybody. You can just go up and you do the battle.
I know
it's pretty. I'd
just rather it be just like oh me and you, sure.
Well, we can.
I know, but we are together couldn't take out a Lugia by ourselves. So we would just.
But with our wives, we can now.
With 4 people?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. See, that's fine. Yeah. But I didn't like it before when it was like, oh, we have 16 people, not sure if we're going to do this. It was just like, are you kidding me?
I don't know if it was that far, but yeah, we're at a point. You can 2-man certain legendaries now if you're like 4x effective, level 40, using the right moves. Like I think Rayquaza or Rayquaza, however you want to pronounce it, he was able to be taken down if you had a team of like Mamoswine and like really powerful ice Pokemon because he is a dragon flying. That's 4x ice effectiveness.
Fair enough.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we got the DLC coming soon in the next few months. I'm sure we'll be talking about it again. You know, once that releases, we got new Pokemon coming in. I love Pokemon, so it's gonna be fun. I'll have to play with Pokemon Home a little more here. But we appreciate you all taking the time to listen to this episode. Don't forget to, like, share, subscribe, leave reviews, wherever you're listening, especially on iTunes, that really helps us, and grants us, opportunities with certain things going forward. We appreciate you making us, part of your weekly routines and listening and supporting us. We're at Nightcap Chat on Facebook and Twitter, and at Nightcap_chat on Instagram. Look out for this. What's today? Today's 25th. This Friday, I believe, the 28th. The Reversion Chapter 3 should be out on Steam. You'll find me as one of the characters on there. I won't say who I'm playing because I'm not sure if that's a spoiler or not. But that's a little indie game that's on Steam. Again, that's the Reversion Chapter 3. You can play Chapters 1 and 2 right now to catch up in time for the new release.
And you can catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Tales of Lance. And if you want...
Tales, T-A-L-E.
Yes, T-A-L-E-S. Like Tales of Suspense, Tales of Lance. It's a little Iron Man joke. But yeah, you come by, you say hi, hang out, whatever. You want to give me some feedback about the episode? I don't care. You want to talk about some of the episodes, my opinion, change my opinion about something, that's fine. But I'll be playing whatever, Fortnite, whatever ends up coming out new. I might probably play Animal Crossing when it comes out, or MLB The Show when it comes out, and they both come out next month. But yeah, just come on by and hang out.
And we will catch you all next week. Thanks for listening.
Have a good night.